back.
We're back.
We are back. Hey, I'm Tiege.
And I'm Sam.
And we are your well-informed girlfriends.
Bringing you today's news, gossip, and unsolicited hot takes. This week, we're talking about the U.S. jobs report and how interest rates are impacting it.
Yeah. Lots going on. Lots to catch up on. Happy New Year. We're also talking about California's data delete button, which I'm pretty excited to talk about. We're talking about restaurants who are changing their menus due to Ozempic and weight loss drugs. Crazy, interesting. Is there like a little section that says for GLP-1 users? And we're also talking about today. We are recording on a Sunday. It is officially Dating Sunday.
Dating Sunday?
The first Sunday in January is Dating Sunday. It's like the Super Bowl of dating.
Oh my gosh.
So
who knew?
We're going to talk about that as well.
Happy New Year, everybody. So how was your break, T? We were off for a few weeks.
It was so good. I went home to Chicago, the suburbs of Chicago, and I stayed there and hunkered down. I was with my family. I got in a lot of family time. I had a lot of fun, played a bunch of games, and now I'm back in LA and ready to do 2026.
Ready to rock.
Yeah. What about you? Where were you?
Same. I was actually in the Chicago suburbs, about an hour north of you.
Yeah.
For a minute. And then we went up to my family. We visited my family in Saugatuck, Michigan. And
beautiful.
We also I always try and convince my husband to move back to Chicago whenever we're there. No offense to LA. I actually love LA, but
yeah,
it's just so easy to be by your mom. You know?
For sure. But also like it's really hard to pitch Chicago when it's 13 degrees.
I know. And I always bring him for Christmas and never in the summer. I need to restructure this plan because it's not
really
working.
hard to pitch.
He's always like, well, it's so cold and gray and there's no foliage. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. It's winter. But
and I can't get an acai bowl or like a glutathione shot.
Why would you want an acai bowl though when it's 13 degrees out?
I'm just saying, like I've just gotten used to like the things I can get here. Yeah, interesting. I guess this is something we're gonna have to follow. Not exactly what I had on my 2026 bingo card.
Definitely not.
But here we are. You know, something crazy happens in the beginning of January every year. Last year was the LA fires. Now it's this
January 6th, the insurrection.
Right. What is that about?
I don't know.
New year?
January
People are like,
1st.
let's just like blow stuff up. Ugh, that's so crazy. All right, well, let's get to our next story. Speaking about blowing stuff up.
Yeah. Okay. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics has released the long-awaited data. If you remember, we were during a government shutdown, so we didn't have a ton of information.
Right.
And basically what it is mixed signals.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this actually came out in December, but we haven't had a pod for the last few weeks, so I thought it might be nice. We love to talk about jobs numbers and hiring numbers, so that's why I wanted to put this in here. So basically, here's what happened, the TLDR of that whole report. The unemployment rate in the U.S. climbed to a 4-year high of 4.6% last month, which was November. It's up 4.4% in September. October data is missing because of that government shutdown, so they're kind of like backtracking all of the data. Employers added 64,000 jobs in November, according to the report. But then they lost like 100,000 jobs. So like it's not really even of like what is going on. Anyways, there are major losses in government jobs, as we know, because of the government shutdown. That was like part of their plan, was like getting rid of some jobs. I don't know. So overall, the report is mixed. Experts are divided on the direction of the labor market. And as far as like where it's going, no one really knows. But it does look like the hiring rate has slowed. And I think like that's one really big indicator of like if people are feeling safe and secure in their jobs, right? Like if the hiring rate is low and no one's really getting hired, people are really scared to leave their job. They're really scared to ask for a promotion. They're really scared to ask for a raise because it's like, oh, well, if no one's moving around, like I just want to like stay safe and stay where I am and hunker down. So I feel like there's like just this like huge stagnation, which I know we've talked about a lot on the pod, but I feel like because hiring has slowed so much, it's just like a cool in the market and people are having a harder time. If you have friends that are out of the job market, having a really hard time getting back in right now. So,
yeah. Oh, for sure. I know people who've been unemployed or underemployed for like more than a year at this point.
Yeah. So it's almost like the unemployment rate is helpful to know, but it's almost like the hiring rate seems to be a more interesting indicator of like what's actually going on in the economy, because it's like that's, you know, I feel like, I don't know, but to me, like a flourishing economy means like, oh, if there's another job, like I could apply and maybe I would get it, or maybe I would get an interview, or if there's like movement within the economy and people are getting promotions or moving around or bopping, you know, in that way, that feels like a successful economy to me. But when you are not seeing people take those risks and leave their jobs or bop around at all, it feels like kind of like a scary time.
Yeah,
right.
It's sort of an indicator of economic uncertainty, and that actually is a great segue into our next story.
Okay.
So Business Insider did this interesting story this week about how people are blaming AI for job loss and this sort of white collar job bloodbath.
Yeah.
But actually, it's not the main reason jobs are disappearing because what Business Insider says, the bigger issue is actually basic math. Borrowing suddenly got super expensive after years of near zero interest rates. So when the Fed raises rates, it's harder for companies to borrow money.
Mhm.
And so they stop hiring and they flatten organizational charts and they lay people off. And we've seen this. I mean, I know I personally have seen so many friends get laid off. You too.
Yeah.
But like when companies don't have a lot of money accessible to them, they sort of slow their hiring. And so, like we were just saying, it's hard to find a new job
Right.
because these companies are not doing the hiring. I will say the Fed is lowering rates. They've lowered it, I believe, the last 2 times they've announced. So
Mhm.
we'll see what happens going forward. Hopefully the things pick up and hopefully, people can buy houses, yada, yada. But I do think that part of it is like a lot of companies are claiming AI is the reason they're laying people off, but that's also investor friendly. When companies say that they're laying people off because they have all these AI innovations, their stock tends to go up.
Right.
Versus like if they say we're laying people off because we can't borrow money, investors would be like, what? So
Yeah.
that's like another thing to consider as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things to it. Also, like the idea of like printing more money and like adding more money into the circulation, which happens digitally, is also kind of like what's going on with that? What are we doing? And
Yeah.
is that going to affect the rate of everything? So I don't know. That was me trying to talk numbers. Does that affect the rate of anything?
We're economists now.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I do feel like, and I've said this before on the podcast, but I feel like a lot of these companies are like, oh yeah, we're getting rid of people for AI. And it's like, no, you're not. There's so many other reasons. I think that's a really nice cop out for people to say like, oh yeah, like just we're innovating so much. And like, I don't know, in my jobs and like my friends' experiences, like AI hasn't fully taken over the workforce yet. It could in the next few years, but like people are still doing their jobs. So, and maybe their jobs are a little easier because of AI, but I don't think it's like fully in a way where you can like let everybody go. And that's the reason for everybody being laid off.
Right.
I don't know. Okay, this next story I'm really excited about. What is this?
Okay, so California actually just gave its 40 million residents a permanent delete button for the data economy.
What's that mean?
So, okay, as of New Year's Day, Californians can use this government website to tell hundreds of data brokers, which are like these companies you've literally never heard of, to erase their personal information and keep deleting it going forward.
Okay, what's the website?
So the website is privacy.ca.gov/drop. And the idea is what's happening is actually these brokers collect everything from your address to your income to your location history, even like visits to political rallies, churches, etc. And so all of these data brokers have all this information about you and they can use it to sell marketing, ads, whatever. But now you can just delete it.
That's awesome.
I know. And so it only applies for Californians right now. But for those of you outside of California, you can do other similar things. Obviously not quite as, doesn't have quite as much teeth in it. But you can use web browsers like Firefox or DuckDuckGo or Brave that automatically sends like legally binding orders depending on your state telling websites not to share information.
Mm-hmm.
You can use this software called Privacy Badger, like Honey Badger don't give a, it's from the Electronic Frontier Foundation and it does the same thing as those browsers. And you can also get a permission slip from Consumer Reports and give them like your basic info. And it does like a lot of the legal legwork to tell companies not to sell your info.
Okay, I love this so much because it like makes me so upset to my core that these companies have just been behind the scenes gathering all of our data and selling it. Not only just gathering
it's super creepy
for our own good and maybe to get a better ad or maybe because I want a homecoming dress or whatever it is I'm searching for. Like, great,
Yeah.
Cool, follow me. But like when you are taking information, like they are listing here that like they will gather information if you've gone to an abortion clinic, if you've gone to a political rally, if you've gone to churches, like you said. And that's crazy to think like, oh my gosh, like and by the way, like an abortion clinic, that should have a HIPAA violation on that. But like they're somehow getting around that or whatever and selling that information. And that's so scary, violating, upsetting. And the fact that it's being sold is just like, to me, the biggest, most offensive thing.
So creepy, honestly. Yeah. And I will say there are times that I'm like,
I don't know how that's legal. How is this ever legal?
I have no idea how it's legal. I think it's because technology advances faster than the law can, honestly. Yeah. And so here's the law trying to catch up with what's going on in the world. And California is like the first state to do this, as far as I know. And so that's like a really interesting, the crux of it is that if, obviously if you're in Illinois or somewhere else, you can consider supporting privacy laws in your own state, because once one state does it, it's like a domino effect. Other states can follow suit.
Yeah, I'm going to literally do this today because I feel like, I already have so much anxiety about like a Google search. If someone searches my name, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to come up or whatever. Like I've done, so many things over the years, not anything bad, but like things that I'm like, old podcasts or whatever. You're like, oh God. But then to think like people aren't only going to find that, they're also going to find like, I don't know, your home address or whatever it is. And like, that's so scary that that's all out there. And by the way, being sold, it's like, what? So anyways, this is great. I love this. I'm going to do it today. And I love that this is happening. Go
Me
California.
Too. Go California.
Okay, so what is this next story? I know I've heard like a little bit about it, but what is it?
Sure. Okay, so this is really interesting, but a wave of right-wing influencers are showing up at daycare centers across the country, filming themselves sort of knocking on doors and accusing them of fraud, often without evidence.
Wait, why?
Okay, so it all started in Minnesota, where there is a real long-running investigation into childcare subsidy fraud. Essentially, a Somali-run childcare centers were getting childcare subsidies, but not actually operating or whatever.
Okay.
Anyways, this was one investigation inside of Minnesota, but now influencers are going around in several other states and disproportionately targeting childcare centers run by Somali immigrants. And a lot of critics are saying, like immigration advocates, but also state officials are saying this has crossed well from investigation into harassment, especially since these centers haven't been charged with any crimes.
Also, like, I'm sorry, but like, let the professionals do what they're doing. Why would anyone take it upon themselves to go to a childcare center and like knock on the door? Do you have any sort of qualifications? Have you gone to school for this? Do you know what you're looking for? Do you have any idea? Like, are you attached to any? Like, why would you do that?
Right. Well, and some of them are labeled like freelance, free-thinking journalists.
Nope. And that's like, where I draw the line.
Right. And these so-called journalists are making these far-reaching claims about daycares based on long-term subsidy totals compared to like a one-day enrollment snapshot. So they show up, they're like, no one's here. And it's like December 24th or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, no shit, no one's there. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just like, and also it's like harassment, essentially. If they're not being charged with a crime, can you let them live? Like,
no,
what?
And especially also when there's kids on the premises. It's not even like you're going into like an adult business where you could like, I don't know, be like, hey, what's going on here today? And try to crack the code. But there are kids here. Like, don't, like, I don't know, stay in your lane, in my opinion.
I agree.
Like, please.
And we're former journalists. Like, I'm still kind of a journalist, actually.
Yeah.
But like, we have been trained in this. We have sort of like an ethical standard that I will say a lot of the alt-right media does not have. They have a clear bias. And I mean, like, we are biased sometimes, but we tell you it's our opinion typically on this pod.
Yeah.
And like, especially when you're going out and putting reporting into the world, I think you really need to be cognizant of your responsibility.
Right. And there's a way to do it tactfully, right? There's a way to go to a business and make sure people think, and I actually appreciate and respect people trying to do hard-hitting news and journalism and going after stories that people aren't talking about, but people know about this and it's on the government's radar. There are ongoing investigations. So it's not like you're going to crack the code and like expose something huge, And I think that sometimes when people are trying to get like, I don't know, clickbait things online, they want to like look like they're like breaking something or they're doing something crazy. It's like, no, like actually that's not that interesting. Find me an interesting story and I'll watch. Like if you're going to uncover something interesting that I don't know.
Oh,
please,
for sure.
I'll watch
Well,
that,
and I just want to say a really quick piece on this. We talk about this a lot, but we live in an attention economy where people are intentionally trying to get your attention. And the easiest way to do that is rage baiting. So a lot of times people will talk about controversial things. We're guilty of this even here. We'll tell you about a study that's controversial.
Yeah.
But like people are doing this because it's the easiest way to earn engagement. And so whenever you see something on the internet, you should always look at it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, great. Well, we're on to the next.
Sorry. On that note.
No, and also like before we totally move, it's really especially upsetting if you're targeting like a specific group of people.
Oh, for sure.
And race is involved or whatever it is. And that's, anyways. Okay, all right. On to a lighter story, if you will. Not so light, but here we go. Okay, so a recent survey reported by Newsweek of about 2,000 women, they were ranging from 18 to 45, found that nearly half of the women in that survey have stepped back emotionally from dating. So 74% said that romantic uncertainty, so that feeling of like, I don't know what's going on here, feels normal now. So that idea of like, are we dating? Are we not dating? Are you dating other people? Am I dating others? Like that weird romantic uncertainty is so high. 75% is kind of crazy. And
Wow.
that uncertainty has led many of these women to just totally disengage emotionally,
Mm.
which I 100% understand. And so there are several reasons for this that Newsweek referenced, but basically the first thing is dating apps. They have promised this crazy efficiency when really they're just delivering confusion,
Sure.
right? I mean, modern dating has, it's promised these connections and finding people quicker. And unfortunately now, because people have so many options, it's not quite as clear.
Yeah. A paralysis of choice almost.
Exactly. 100%. I mean, are you kidding? And I always talk about this too, but it's like if we're on a date, something goes weird, we both know we have like a few more options in our app. So it's like, why work through this if we could go to another, anyways, I feel like that's like a constant cycle I see too in big cities, especially.
For sure.
Also, Newsweek said that women are feeling emotionally worn down. So women describe it being harder to invest in dating, and it's just easier to stay detached, which I kind of also understand.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll say something too that it's not even listed in this article, but I think is very applicable. I think what happens if women are like single for a very long time, like me, you get really comfortable being alone. Like I, at this point, am like pretty happy alone. I know how to make myself happy. I know if I'm having a bad day, what I want, what I need, what like will make me feel better, whatever. Like I've become like really good at being self-sufficient and, anyways, like I don't feel like I need to like add someone to my life. And I think a lot of women are hitting that same realization where it's like if there's a guy that like I could date, but like he affects me emotionally, like sometimes it almost feels like the smarter move for me is to like, yeah, you're there, I guess, but like I'm good, like
The
I
juice
want to
is
like
not worth the squeeze, is what you're saying.
kind of, yeah. I feel like that's happening more and more, and I feel like I'm talking to a lot of single girls that are feeling the same way, that they're like, yeah, like I'm single, but I'm fine. Like I'm not. It's no longer like this plague. Like, oh yeah, she's single, she needs to find someone. Now I'm kind of like, I'm actually so happy single, and I like know how to be happy single. So like, why would I change that unless it's like somebody who like really adds to my life and is really like a huge difference maker? Then I don't, I'm fine being single. So I think that's also a part of this like whole change in emotional dating.
For sure. Well, and I'll say this too. I don't know if you see this on your internet, but I get a lot of sort of like dad influencers or like wife guy kind of influencers.
Okay, what the hell is that?
It's like they're talking about how to like add value to their partner's lives, because I think there is sort of this gulf of knowledge between what women are asking men to be and what they were raised to be. Like we talked about this before on the pod too, how like men got left behind in our generation because women were raised to be anything we want to be and self-sufficient and whatever. And we don't rely on men for anything, but men seemingly were left behind when our parents raised them, in the sense that like they think that a woman should still take care of the home and yada yada. And we're like, no, we're looking for an egalitarian relationship and partners, and we want you to be an active partner in my life, and if we have children, our children's lives, and that sort of thing. And I think that like that, even after the dating phase ends, say you walk down the aisle, like I think even that is difficult too.
Yeah. Okay, so Sam, I don't know if you know, but today is a very big day in the world. It is officially, drumroll please, Dating Sunday. So Dating Sunday is the first Sunday in January. It's the start of a new year, and allegedly it is the Super Bowl of dating apps. So if you are single and you are on the dating apps, and I know we harp on them a lot, but today is allegedly the day that you need to get on the apps. People are like, engagement is high. Traffic is high. People are really like in there because it gets January, New Year's resolutions. Maybe a lot of people want to have a partner in the new year or whatever. And so as a result, people are on these dating apps more than ever on this Dating Sunday.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that hilarious?
That is hilarious. So did you update your profile? Are you like ready to take on the world?
Right.
What's the vibe?
That's the thing. So there was a story this week all about what you should do to prepare for Dating Sunday, the Super Bowl of online dating. And people are saying you should update your profile, make sure you have like interesting new prompts, highlight your values and what you're looking for. So maybe if you've like noticed in the last year that like what you're looking for in a partner has changed, update that on your dating apps, and keep an open mind, respond to messages promptly, just be like in it. If you're going to be in it, today's the day to be in it.
Yeah.
So carve out time, get a comfortable spot on the couch. I don't know, pour a glass of wine and have fun.
Yeah. So wait, like is January one of the highest traffic times for dating apps?
Yes. Like dating apps go through the roof in January, especially early January. People just did the holidays. Maybe they had a lot of questions from their family members about being like, why are you still single? You're 45, Janet. What's going on? And so January is the month where people get on the apps and are aggressive about it. So if you're in the market, don't wait till February, because February, as we've discussed, is Valentine's Day. No one wants to date in February.
Don't start dating someone in February. That's crazy.
Yeah. So January, you got to lock it down, get serious, put your head down and get in the apps.
Okay. I respect it.
Hilarious.
Okay. I just also realized I got to say my dating anniversary with my husband is actually February 2nd. So like, please disregard everything I said. You can totally start dating a guy in February. It's just really awkward.
You can, but I'm just saying, yeah, no, it's like totally what it is. Yeah, that's so funny. But I mean, that proves the theory, because dating app traction might have been higher in January, and you guys matched in January.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, maybe all love connections happen in January.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to fire them up again. I'm not on apps right now, but maybe I will. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, clearly it's the Super Bowl. You got to get in there.
Yeah. You know what? I do love a Super Bowl performance, so I will get in.
Amazing.
Okay, this next story, our last story of the week, is crazy.
Yes. Okay. So we've talked about the GLP-1s like Ozempic and Wegovy sort of ad nauseum on this podcast.
Yeah.
But in addition to changing bodies now, they're also changing restaurant menus.
What?
I know. So, okay, 1 in 8 Americans have tried a GLP-1.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, suppresses your appetite.
Yeah.
And now diners are eating out less often. And when they do eat out, they're ordering less food. So in response, some higher end restaurants are shrinking portions and leaning into a sort of small but luxe menu. So instead of going to the Olive Garden and getting an enormous dish, you might go somewhere that offers smaller, tiny bite-sized plates with like premium ingredients. But of course, still a very high markup. Think like a Nobu energy instead of like the Olive Garden.
That's hilarious. I just like envision there being like a section on the menu that's like for people who are trying to eat less, like wink, wink for the Ozempic users in this restaurant right now. That is hilarious.
I know. I can't believe it. But I mean, also, I have to say I don't hate it, because sometimes I do just want to try like a bite of something and I don't want a whole entree. So I'm kind of okay with it.
No, this is also way overdue and much needed. American portion sizes are absolutely insane and astronomical. I mean, think about the Cheesecake Factory. Love it. But it's ridiculous. You get mounds of pasta. Like, I could never even eat that in a week's time. So I think it's actually great to have these options. Maybe you're not as hungry and you could like look at the smaller portion side of the menu. I love it. I think this is really cool.
For sure. I'm totally down to try it. And like, I often will order a bunch of things and like taste them,
so
just
much more
share
fun
with all my friends and stuff. So I actually love this plan. I think it's a good idea. And yeah, so if you're losing weight in 2026, now you know.
Now you
check
know.
out some restaurants.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Okay, this was fun.
This was so fun. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We're back here for January 2026.
Yeah.
It's going to be a year.
It's going to be a year, and we're going to do it with you. So thanks for being here. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.